Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Real Talk with Ben podcast. Hope you had an amazing week. I hope you were able to just spend some time with family. I know this last week in my town, we had 4th of July fireworks, even though it was before the 4th of July. And I know coming up this weekend, it's 4th of July. So I'm sure you spend time with friends or family. Maybe you're on vacation, whatever you're doing. I'm so glad that you have tuned in to listen to actually my last podcast before I leave to go back to Hungary, which it's going to be an interesting one. But if you're new, my name is Ben, and this is my podcast where I talk about life. I talk about ministry. I talk about pretty much anything that goes on in this world that I think is interesting, that I want to share with you, or that I have an opinion on. And hopefully it glorifies God, and hopefully as well that it encourages you as much as it can. And I really hope that's what this podcast does. You know, I talk about it a lot. You know, I don't do this podcast to other than really just to share my thoughts. You know, the whole idea with Real Talk with Ben actually came from my friend Jordan and I. We were talking about some things we had planned a few years ago, but I just love that name. And so yeah, I guess I just wanted to say that today. I don't know why, but it's Real Talk because I want to be real honest with you as a listener, as a watcher, or whatever. So like I said, this is the last podcast episode. Might be, and most likely, I'm probably like 90% sure it's my last video before I head back to Hungary. A lot of things got to get done here in the next few days. I leave actually at this time next week. I will be in Hungary, hopefully catching up on rest, but and also seeing my fiance. So that's going to be a blessing. So I don't know after this week. I might mention at the end of the podcast, but I don't really know when the next one will be. I know for sure it won't be next week. I'm probably going to take a week off just to kind of get into the swing of things over there. And I also got to do setup and a lot of different things with what I'm trying to do over there, especially kind of like with my office space and things like that. So that won't be happening. But hopefully then the following week, I'll be able to have the podcast. Also, I'll be starting that same week. I'll be starting the sports podcast. We'll be talking about, pretty sure that's when all the MLB All-Star game is. A lot of other things are happening. So I'll be able to talk about that and kind of give you an intro to that, which will be really, really cool. And then I have another small surprise that will be happening here in the next few weeks and months ahead. But I'm not really going to share with it because still figuring things out. But I'll just tell you it's pretty cool. I'm excited for it. If you've known me for a long time, you know I love what I will be doing with you all on the Bounding Experience. It's going to be a part of the Bounding Experience. Won't be exactly the Bounding Experience, but you'll get to see here in a few weeks. And so with that, I just want to talk about just some things today, right? Like, you know, it's my last time doing a podcast in this house, probably the last time for a while, I think, unless for some reason I would bring my stuff with me to do a podcast here or there when I'm back in town. But yeah, in all reality, it's really just become. I'm just going to adjust the camera here. Sorry if you're not watching, it doesn't matter. Yeah, like I said, I'm really excited just to share this whole. I guess share these thoughts that I have here before I leave. You know, I got the question the other day. You know, like what are you going to miss most? What are you going to miss the most about being away from family and friends and things like that? And to be honest, I think it's just the family and the support that I have here. You know, I tell people all the time that I love Hungary. Hungary for me is home. Hungary is the place that I care about so much. The people and the friends and stuff that I have there, and they're great support there. You know, my fiance's over there. It's amazing over there. And, you know, but there's something about when you grow up in a place for your whole life. For me, it's been 25 years, take away a year when I was in Hungary, but 24 years of my life. Grew up in this house right here. Grew up in this small town, and it sometimes is kind of crazy to think about on a day-to-day basis that, you know, it's not like last year when I knew exactly when I was coming home, right? Like I knew, okay, I have a year there to serve in Hungary and I'll be coming back home. At that time, I knew it was to do something else with my life. Little did I know that was just going to be meeting somebody over there and then moving my life back over there. But I think more than anything, it's really surreal when you think about all the memories and the people that have impacted you. We're going through a reception list for our reception here when we come back in October, and you just go through all the names that I have on that list, and I can just think of memory and memory and memory and memory. And I think that's what's like the hardest part is leaving, knowing that like the memories will always be with you, right? Like they're always going to stick with you. I always tell people that's something that I try to hold on to about each person I meet. But those people might not be the same when you see them again, or they things might change in their life that they move away or whatever. But one of the most important things for me is that I focus on the good memories and the good things that have happened to me over the last 24 years here in America. And again, this is not saying farewell to America by any means, because I'm always going to be an American citizen. I'm always going to call this my family home, call this West Liberty as a place that had developed me, had grown me up. I mean, this will always be my place away from Hungary. I don't see any other place being that. Um, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I really wrote nothing down today. So if you're listening, you're like, he's kind of. It seems like I really haven't. Just kind of going through a lot of the emotions, going through a lot of the changes. Um, like I was spending time with my grandma last night, and we were just talking about different things, different memories, different things that have happened in the past, things that are going to be happening in the future. The wedding and everything like that. And I realize how thankful I am to have on both sides of my family, have grandparents that have just poured into me, shared the history of my family, shared stories, and um, I shared about every October, but my grandfather was like one of my best friends, one of my biggest supporters. He taught me so much. He taught me how to properly scoop poop. He taught me how to really be a man out in the world, and there are times where I think I've failed him a little bit in some things, but I'm holding on to the treasure that the memories of the 21 years that I had with him. Um, do I wish it was more? Yes. Um, and I think of my grandma, and I think of just the many conversations since I've been back alone before, but even when I came back and being able to go over and just talk with her and Tater. Tater's her dog, by the way. And it's kind of cool to see the impact that your grandparents have, and think about my grandpa Bowden and just all the history and the things that he would teach me and he would encourage me with, and he was always so supportive of everything. Same with my grandma Bowden. And I think with grandparents, it's kind of one of those things where you realize that this is what makes it hard for me going away, is the fact that I know they're all up in their age, they're all in their 80s. Um, and to be honest, and be blunt and be on straight with you, you don't know how much time you have left. And you pray that you've had enough time. You pray you've made the chances, but there are so many times where you realize that you could have done more. Um, I think of my grandma Bowden, who has Alzheimer's, and it's just um, it's hard. It's hard to see. It's hard to figure out. Or my grandpa or grandma, knowing that they're in their mid 80s, and it's like, how much time are they going to be around when I come back next? And you toss with these things, right? And you toss with these things when it comes to your own family. People my age. I mean, I think about the amount of people that I know personally that are close to my age or a little older, a little younger, that have passed away. We don't know in this world what is going to happen. God's the only one that knows. God's the one that knows our our ending, and when we began and when we end, right? We can't just take it for granted and to just waste the opportunities. And I'm so thankful for my grandma, for my grandpa, and then for my other grandma and grandpa. Um, I'm going to miss them like crazy. I think my grandma sometimes can be one of the funniest people one of the funniest persons I know. Anyways, she's just great. She's funny. I love her. And so I guess like that's where today is what I want to talk about is just the people that have really had an impact on me. Should have said at the beginning, but like I said, I have nothing written down. I'm just kind of going off my heart, really. Um, and I think I have to start with just my parents in general, and I know I post a lot about them, Father's Day, Mother's Day, and all that. But in all seriousness, this has got to be a whirlwind for them as well. I know you're watching, guys, and I love you guys, and it's something that you don't realize the amount of effort and the change that they have to go through. I realized that a little bit last year when I was gone, like just especially when I came back and I saw my mom crying, give me a hug, saw my dad, and you realize you slowly start realizing the older you get the amount that they have put into your life. And they also just celebrated their wedding anniversary this past week, which is really really awesome. Um, that was just random, but it just shows that their love for each other, their love for my brother and I, and it's it's something that I think I've taken for granted for so many years, until I got to see how they have handled this whole transition, this whole idea of myself getting married. Sorry if that's a weird sound outside. I don't know what it is. It's like a scooter. I am so sorry if you hear that scooter. But like I said, I realized coming back home, and I've realized through this whole process that they are some of the most supportive people I have ever met, if not the most supportive. What they are giving, they wouldn't say giving up, but I sometimes think of it as giving, letting their son go live in another country, not just for a short period of time, but for the future. And never have met my fiance in person, never. And to just love her the way they do. And she feels it. And it's hard sometimes when you, when you start to realize the amount that they're personally thinking about, or maybe they're personally giving up, and all you can do is say thank you. I'll never be able to repay what they have sacrificed in my life, and what they're sacrificing for me to be over there. Um, Sacrifice of time with me, with my future wife, and it's their example of how to live and how to lead and how to be followers of Christ. It goes a long way. They'll probably never tell you that, but it's one of those things where you realize the certain people in your life that are so influential that it means so much to you, and you sometimes don't think about your parents because you're so used to everyone else around you, and you forget that your parents have always been there from the time you began, until the time God calls them home. I know my parents will always be there for me, and it is truly, um, it is truly going to be hard to be away, from them, from just the conversations, the joking, the laughing. Yeah, it's something that you never really, I think, are prepared for. I mean, I know people that are my age that have been out of the house for a long time, but there's something about it when you're a family man like myself that I family to me is the most important. Outside of my Lord and Savior, and outside of my fiance, my family is the most important. You can take my job away, whatever you want to do, but my family is always going to be first. And when I have my kids, same thing. And so I think I think as a family, are so close that it is definitely a change for all of us in our own way. We handle it in our own way, but at the same time, we are so focused on each other and what each other needs to succeed. And that's what's truly cool. It really is. And so I'm gonna miss them. I'm gonna miss them like crazy. My prayer is that everything goes well so they can be over for the wedding in August. That's what I ask you guys to pray for, because it's stressful. It's a challenge. Um, but yeah, and I think the other big person. Um, I could go on and on today, but the other big person is my brother. Um, you all know, and I've shared this before, that our relationship has always been up and down. It's never been a smooth sailing relationship. It's sometimes been bumpy and rough. Um, but the one thing I've learned is that time truly heals things. And to see how when I left for college and to see how that was kind of the start of like we kind of went our own paths, and to see how even while we went to the same college, he was still so supportive in his own way. And I always say that in his own way. I know this is, he might not ever admit it, but I know probably in his heart it's tough. Um, it's hard to see your brother uh, go home. I know he's excited. He's excited to be my best man. He's excited for the wedding and all that, but it's a challenge. It's a challenge for me. I can't keep an eye on my little brother anymore. I can't check on him. I don't do it enough. But I know it's definitely a challenge for me. Because I know all the years that I wasted. Um, and I want to be able to, sometimes I wish, right? Like I could have that time over, like those times, but I shouldn't be feeling regret at all. Instead, I should feel blessed that we have been so close these last few years, and um, to see how much he's matured and how much he's grown. Um, it's truly special. Uh, it shows that God will use anybody to do anything for his glory. And so I think not being able to see him on a daily basis or maybe every week or every month, it's definitely a challenge. I don't understand sometimes why. Sometimes it's harder than others, um, but it's always a challenge. Um, and I'm gonna miss my family. Um, I think the same goes with friends that I have around here, friends that are from college, or because I think you don't realize sometimes the impact that people have on your life until you move away. Um, I've realized that last year. I realized that a lot, but this time it's great. I'm getting married. I'm gonna have a wife. It's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna have a new job. A lot of these things are great. There's those things that you're gonna miss, and there's those things that will stick with you forever. I talked about earlier memories, and for me, memories is something that I hold on to very dear. That's why I sometimes tend to make these videos and tend to or podcasts or videos or pictures or things like that. I tend to do that because I want to be able to look back when I'm 50, 60, 70 years old and be able to say like, well, I've lived a good life. But that's never enough for me. I hope that I've lived a God honoring life and a life that I've set up well for my family. And so I guess the thing that I want to say is this, is that um, as I leave here, as I head back home for me, it's easy to forget about the people that you've been around. It's easy to forget about those things, but I would just say like don't waste the time that you have because you never know when their times come or your times come. And there are still days where I wonder what my grandpa would be thinking right now. He'd probably think I'm crazy maybe a little bit. Hopefully he's proud, but he probably thinks I'm crazy a little bit. Be moving to another country, but there was always a thing that he taught me, which was that uh, family matters. It always matters, no matter where you go. Now, your family might look different than mine. Your family might be just friends or people close to you, church family. Keep them close. Don't forget them. Don't forget those memories that you have made because at the end of the day, that what matters the most is the fact that you have created something that you can live with for the rest of your life. And I'll tell you that those people that have been so close to me, I know that I can call at any time. Anywhere I am in the world, I can call them and they will talk. So as I move on, as I get ready to really leave Ohio, leave America, at least for a while. Some might tell me that it's crazy sometimes, and maybe they're right in their own mind. But for me, I'm so at peace. It might not look like it, but I'm so at peace. I think ever since I came back, it has not been easy for me getting back into the swing of things. Just for me, Hungary's always been peaceful. It's always been quiet. It's always been. I might be living in a big city, but my mind is at peace. My mind is quiet. My heart is quiet. And I just pray that I can make a difference in these kids' lives here in the future, teaching a subject that I've never taught before, doing a job I'm not really used to. But at the end of the day, what matters the most is that I'm doing something for God's glory, and that won't quit. Uh, no matter what I'm doing, no matter if I'm making these podcasts, or no matter if I am making weird videos, goofy videos, or playing basketball in the park, or doing camp at Word of Life, or just sitting at home with my future wife, or just walking around Budapest. I hope that I am making a change for the good. And I hope that people, when they see me, they see something different. I'm going to miss Little West Liberty. I'm going to miss driving downtown and remembering that all the lights are on the same signal. So you just kind of time it. All the garage sale days, Marie's Candies. Going to miss my church. I'm going to miss Calvary. Long 24, 25 years of that place that has been a part of my life. People that have been a part of my life. I'm going to miss Cedarville. Going to miss going down there every once in a while and listen to chapel, having a conversation with a professor. You see, all of this is part of your story. Your story doesn't necessarily change completely. It's just the chapters that change. I've mentioned it before, but I closed a chapter when I left Word Life. I opened another when I was here. But now this next chapter is not a short chapter. It's a long chapter. The question really is that it's not how's this chapter going to be written. It's how will other people read the chapter. Will we read the chapter with, wow, look at him. He's cocky. He's not humble. Or will they read the chapter with, like, what is different about this guy? I don't know about you, but I want to be that second person. So all I ask from all of you that listen to me on a weekly basis, that maybe even personally talk to me on a weekly basis, that maybe you just keep me in your prayers. Whatever I'm doing, that I would glorify God, but then more than that, that I could make a difference in Hungary, that I would be at ease with knowing that this is where God wants me. Continue to pray for my family, as this is not going to be easy for all of them to see the change. But I've mentioned many times, change is good. Change can bring us a new mission, a new challenge. At the end of the day, God never changes, and He is always there for us. So I hope that this was an encouragement for you. Hope it wasn't too downing or anything like that. Downing? It's my friend's last name. Anyways, hope this wasn't too discouraging or anything. I really hope you got some encouragement from it. But I'm going to miss you all, especially you that are in the States here. You in Hungary, I'll get to see you very soon. But you that are in the States, I'm definitely going to miss you. And feel free to contact me, follow me on my social medias. Just let me know. what's going on, and how I can pray for you, how I can be an encouragement to you. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of cool things coming to just not only having a second podcast, not only starting a job, not only starting something else that I'm going to surprise you about. But there are so many other things that are happening that I'm super excited. I'm super excited to just kind of first kind of get over there. Obviously, it's kind of crazy with COVID, so pray for that as well. That's kind of crazy. But um, as you know, I love doing this. I love sharing my life with you, and I hope you allow me to continue to share my life with you. And I want to remind you of this, that we serve an amazing God, that He is faithful. We can trust Him. And as always, we'll talk next time.